we start. So if you have not received the tool yet, kindly do indicate in the chat with your email address to make sure that we send it to you. Also, remember that this call is being recorded for your information and for you to be aware that the recordings and the transcript from the meeting today shall be shared with you at the end of the meeting, together with a link to submit the tool. With those brief remarks, I would like to invite Sandra to give us a sustainability moment for today. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Christine. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are happy to have you on this call for your second online session. So our sustainability moment is rather brief. It's actually a safety moment on reading on any supplies or material that we buy. Make sure that it's not expired to protect yourselves and maybe all the other people in your homes and maybe offices that would be using these things. It could be food or any other supplies like detergent that you use in your houses. So let's be very careful to protect ourselves and also the people around us. Thank you.
Okay, people, we need to stay safe by looking out for expiry dates of the products that we use, and also maybe the ingredients, if I may add, because some may contain allergens that you may react adversely to. So that was our safety moment. We are receiving some emails in the chat that we are not able to receive the tool. Rest assured that we are going to send you the tool as we kick off. Let's have Sandra put up the tool, and at this point, we shall hand over to Matt Abacus to take us through the business diagnostic exercise today. All right, over to you. Maybe they'll begin with a brief introduction of themselves and then dive into that tool. We want to remind you to keep muted and also switch your videos off where possible, such that we have a seamless session today.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Raphael Francis Kiba. I'm part of the Matt Abacus team that is here to walk this journey with you. I'll ask my colleagues to introduce themselves very quickly, then we'll begin the process of going through the tool.
I am Martin Oburu, part of the Matt Abacus team. It's a pleasure to be part of the team that's walking along with you. Thank you.
I'm Frida Wamala, and I am part of the Matt Abacus team.
Francis Bazoketa, part of the Matt Abacus team. Good morning.
All right, that is it from the Matt Abacus team. I think you already had the introductions from the IEC team. There are comments from people saying they have not received the tool. I think it will be shared in the chat shortly. So those of us who already have it, assuming we have it open, or you can view what is displayed on the screen. The tool has 5 tabs, and we're going to go tab by tab. We'll start with the business information, then we'll skip M&E baseline questions. As we've learned, it is not because we don't want to do it, but it's simply saving the best for last. Then we'll run into the BD assessment tab, which is the lengthy portion of this assessment. Then we'll go through a lot of sections there that will guide you through filling. We'll define terms, we'll guide you on how to fill and what to fill, and then eventually close up with the M&E baseline questions section. We'll also have a brief through the assessment summary, and then we'll give you details on what we'll be doing when you come here for the action planning, which will be next week. All right, are we ready? Kindly check. Kindly confirm if the sound is coming through well. Are you getting us clearly? A thumbs up or a simple yes in the chat. We are good. We are good. We are good. So we'll start with the business information section, which requires a few details from your company, from your business. You have company name, the year of establishment. So this should be the year of registration. Our dummy company will also be filling out the details for you to observe and follow. You tell us your core business activity, you put in your current number of employees, you'll give an estimate of your annual business turnover, which is your total sales in a given year. Then you're going to tell us whether you have previous experience in the oil and gas sector. You simply answer yes or no. If it's a yes, then you specify the contracts that you have undertaken, whether it's 1 or 2, but you detail them. If there's anything unclear, please type in the chat to ask your question. All right. So I think now we can move to the BD assessment section. We're skipping the M&E baseline questions for now and moving to the BD assessment itself. Okay, so this one has a total of about 11 sections, but we will go in order. We'll start with the section 1, which you can see there is compliance. It is subdivided into legal compliance, corporate compliance, and national content compliance, and then health, safety, and environment compliance. So we'll go section by section. Please note that as you respond, the columns F and G are sections you can fill with details later. For now, we're going to be handling the column E, the responses for column E. For column F and G, those are details you can add later after we have run through the tool. And then because you'll be given 3 days to complete the tool fully and then submit. So for the comments and additional comments, those ones you can add later. But for now, we'll be looking at the results to add under column F, which is the diagnostic results. So the first question is legal compliance. The first section is legal compliance. You're going to, they're asking, do you have a valid tax clearance certificate for the last year, which is 2024? And the options you have are yes, no. The next question is, does your company process a social security compliance certificate for the last year? The next question asks that, do you file annual returns with URSB? And then, does your company have an operational permit license for the previous year, which is 2024? Okay.
Let me try.
For clarity, tax clearance certificate is an annual tax clearance certificate. This one is given by Uganda Revenue Authority. If you don't have it, you put no. Social Security Compliance Certificate, that's the one issued by NSSF. Do you have one? Yes. If you don't have, you put no. Does your company file annual returns? These are corporate annual returns. These are filed by your company secretary and they report on movements between the shareholders and the company. They're very different from tax returns. So respond yes or no. And then operational permit or license mainly refers to your trading license issued by the relevant local authority. For those in Kampala, that would be KCCA. There was another permit that has been talked about, the one issued by Ministry of Gender. Oh, it's an HSC. Okay, all right. So if there are any queries on the legal compliance, please post very quickly so that we're able to take on any responses you need. If we're clear, put a thumbs up and we proceed. Okay, can we go on? Okay, no questions? No questions? Okay, let's move on to corporate compliance. Does your company have a procurement policy? Answer yes or no. Does your company have an anti-corruption policy? Does your company have an anti-sexual harassment policy? Does your company have a data protection and privacy policy? We can get a briefer explanation on what is meant by having a policy.
A policies and procedures are contained in a handbook that is called a manual. So if you have a manual, it contains the policies and the procedures that you use to execute your operations. For example, finance and admin manual has got the policies and procedures that you use when you are dealing with finances or funds in your organization. Another example could be a human resource manual that has policies and procedures that you follow when you're dealing with the human capital in your organizations, right from recruitment to exit of an employee. So what is followed to ensure that is done is contained in a human resource manual. Those are just two examples, but there are others. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. All right, let's move on to the next portion of compliance, which is national content compliance. So, is your company classified as Ugandan company by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda? Say yes or no. Does your company have more than 70% Ugandan employees? So the answer is yes or no. Does your company have a national content manager? Does your company have a national content plan? Does your company have a value additional plan or strategy? So in this section, we'll receive explanations for the portion of whether your company is classified as Ugandan by the PAU, and also to have some guidance on what national content means.
Okay, so we had prepared a slide for you on national content. I put it that right up, but as the slide comes up, this certification is when you're registering on the national database, and the PAU, Petroleum Authority, has certain metrics it uses to assess whether you are a Ugandan company based on shareholding, characteristics, and value retention. So if you were classified as a Ugandan company, then you ought to know that. However, if you do not know, or whether you're unsure, then click no, and in our action planning, we could dive deeper. National content itself refers to the portion of goods and services that are sourced locally within the country. In this case, we are looking at aspects of employment, whether you employ Ugandans, whether you procure goods and services locally, whether you train local staff and their capacities, and also whether you make knowledge transfer from the larger multinational companies, or as if you are one to the smaller SMEs in Uganda. So that's it for the national content part, and we can return to the template. Thank you.
Okay. There is a question. Wycliffe says URM no longer issues annual TCCs. Instead, they only provide it during the bidding process and address it specifically to the company to which the bid is being submitted. Given this, how should we proceed? Someone is saying there's an echo. Okay, we'll try and rectify the echo. I'm not certain that URA no longer issues annual TCCs. What I know is that they are very hard to get because for them to issue it, it means you have complied for all tax requirements for a given year. So it is difficult to process. I don't think they've necessarily stopped issuing them. In any case, for now, put that response as no. Is the echo still there, Wycliffe? Says the echo is still there. Okay, we're going to continue working to resolve that. It's cool. Huh? Okay, it's gone. All right. He says it's 9:1. So let's quickly run through the next section, which is health, safety, environment, compliance. Does your company have an HSE policy? Does your company have workplace certification for the previous year, which is 2024? Does your company have an HSE manager? Okay. If you have the policy, you say yes. Workplace certification, that's the one that is issued by Ministry of Gender. Yes. And if your company has a specific person assigned the role of SHE manager, you say yes. If not, you click no. Someone had asked, what is a national content manager?
Okay, so a national content manager is that person specifically assigned to handle aspects of national content development within a company. So they'll be responsible for preparing a national content plan, setting objectives, deadlines, also measuring performance, following up on commitments made towards national commitment, basically a delegated resource to follow up on national content issues.
Thank you, Christine. Let's move to section 2, which is operational efficiency. We'll start with process optimization. So the questions, the aspects being examined are, does your company have a standard operating procedures manual or handbook? That's a yes or no. Does your company have an inventory management system? Mention the type of system used where applicable. Mentioning this is what you'll add in your additional comments. Otherwise, for that question, it's either yes or no. Does your company have any operational key performance indicators, KPIs? So we'll get a brief run through to explain these elements.
Okay. So as a business, it would be very helpful if you have a system through which you manage inventory. And this system could be like just in time. Sometimes if you don't have enough resources to tie up stock, you may want to have a system that enables you to replenish your stock as it comes in. That is just in time. Alternatively, you may have a system that allows you to buy in bulk so that you get quantity discounts. So that is one. Then when you look at the operational performance indicators, these are indicators that help in decision making to guide you on how your organization is performing, and this could be across various functional areas. They could be financial performance indicators, like adherence to budget. You're not overshooting the budget. They could be human resource indicators, the rate of turnover, the rate of absenteeism, and things like that. So you come up with all these indicators to help you in decision making.
Thank you, Frida. Are there any questions? Seeking clarifications, please post in the chat. Okay, let's move to technology, integration or innovation. Does your company have any process automations? Highlight which ones. So the first response is yes or no. If it's a yes, then you will be required to give us more details in column F or column G. Let's continue. Does your company have an innovation strategy? Next is, does your company have an innovative, does your company have or use any innovative technologies, that is software or hardware? Then you list the technologies where applicable. Then does your company have any patents and copyrights? List the patents or copyrights where applicable. So we'll give some guidance on what patents and copyrights are.
A patent is an exclusive legal right that is given to a company. It's a kind of monopoly that allows you to produce, sell, or manufacture a product or service with no other competitors coming in, but it is normally time bound. So it will have a period beyond which that patent will be lifted to enable the business to continue running without undue competition. Although these patents are normally granted to innovations that have not been on the market.
Thank you, Freedom. No questions? Okay, there's an echo, there's no echo. Kindly take us through the process of compliance with the petroleum midstream national content regulations. Someone has a query on, kindly take us through the process of compliance with the petroleum midstream national content regulations. Is that something we can get into now? Okay. This is going to be banks. We shall deal with it at the end of looking at the whole BD tool. The question was from Quality Tools.
Okay, maybe if I could chip in Quality Tools, the IEC has developed a course on compliance, and also as you go through the foundational course to oil and gas, part of the capacity building interventions we have, we've clearly outlined the compliance aspects. I don't know if you recall also that during the our previous workshop, like we went through requirements for the sector, but we want to remind you again, national content, effective date is 14th May. We want to extend this invitation to you so that you can be able to attend and understand in very fine detail what requirements for national content compliance they are, because this is really a deep dive. So we can also not plan it for after today, but require a deep insight to understand the requirements as they are so extensive, which would require quite some effort. I hope that's okay. Quality someone.
Quality Tools. Right. The next section is efficient resource management. Does your company use any energy efficient technologies such as solar energy, energy saving appliances? List all available technologies where available. So we need a yes or no response. And then if there's a yes, you'll be required to list which resources you use that save on energy. Does your company have any cost management strategies or procedures? Elaborate where applicable. That's a yes or no. Then you'll be required to elaborate if it's a yes. Does your company have a supplier relationship management policy? Elaborate with which suppliers where applicable. So let's receive some guidance on cost management strategies, and then also a brief on supplier relationship management policy.
Cost management strategies would be those deliberate steps you make to ensure that your business cuts down on its costs. And this could include, for instance, outsourcing some services that may not make business sense to have a full-time resident person, maybe IT, maybe audit, you might outsource that. Another cost-cutting strategy could be purchasing your inventory in bulk so that you take advantage of quantity discounts. So you would be required to identify some of those. If at all you have any strategies, you'd be required to identify and list what strategies you are taking.
Supplier relationship.
About supplier relationships, you could design credit terms with them, because at the end of the day, you'd want to have cash flows in your company. So you may come up with credit terms, probably payment in a 90-day payment period or a 30-day payment period, so that you have activities running, because usually you need to be liquid enough for the day-to-day operation.
Thank you, Frida and Francis. Okay. The next section we're going through is financial health and positioning. Financial health and positioning, and we're starting with revenue generation or access to capital. Was your company's annual gross turnover over and above 360 million Uganda shillings last year? Mention your company's annual turnover in 2024. So if you are above 360, it's a yes. If you're less than that, it's a no. You'll still be required to mention your turnover, irrespective of the answer. That will be in your additional comments. Has your company accessed any commercial forms of financing in the past 3 years? Then you'll eventually list which ones. So it's a yes or no. If it's a yes, you'll be required to list which ones. Has your company accessed any sector-specific financing for the oil and gas sector? Mention which ones in the comment section, if applicable. So we're going to get a little more light shade on commercial forms of what commercial forms of financing means, and then also we'll receive feedback on what is referred to by sector-specific financing for the oil and gas sector. So Martin, help us explain commercial forms of financing.
When we talk about commercial forms of financing, it's that kind of financing that you get from a commercial bank, and then you pay over a period of time to meet your business needs. So you need to remember that that kind of finance attracts interest, and so there are of course different types depending on which one you want, whether for your normal daily operations or long-term, for you to be able to acquire some long-term assets. And the rates differ depending on which one you choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Christine, you can help us with the sector-specific financing for oil and gas.
Okay, so this question tries to ascertain whether in your work and operations you've been able to access any specific form of financing that is targeting SMEs in the oil and gas sector. It could be from private funders, equity financiers, angel investors. It could be from the Petroleum Authority in form of a content fund, the debt, equity financing. Do let us know, because we want to take note of any forms of financing that we may have access to. Of course, we anticipate the answer is no, but who knows? That's why we're doing the assessment. If there is anything you can think about that was targeting oil and gas particularly, and you were able to benefit from this, kindly indicate yes, and which financing exactly you received in the same regard.
Why not? I told you,
Christine. Next section, it's liquidity.
Huh?
The questions are, is your company's current ratio greater than 1?
Stop
Did
draining. Will
your
you call
company
for me?
operate with positive cash flows over the past year? It's a yes or no. Does your company perform any periodic reporting for cash flow management? So we're going to receive guidance on what we mean by current ratio and also what cash flows refers to.
The current ratio measures a company's ability to meet its short-term debts. And there was actually a slide on that. And the current ratio shows a business's ability to cover its short-term obligations. And in order to assess your current ratio, there's a formula that divides the current assets divided by the current liabilities. If your assets are greater than your liabilities, then your company is in a good position to meet its short-term debt, its short-term debts, so that there it will be greater than 1. However, if your company's assets are less than the current liabilities, it means that you are not able to pay your debts. This ratio is used to help in decision-making to ensure that you do not fall into a situation where you are having to borrow money to cover your short-term debts. A cash flow is money coming in and out of the company over a period of time. And many people may do 3 months or 6 months for the cash flows. If you have a positive cash flow, it means that you are able to meet your obligations. And why cash flow is important is that it helps in decision making, in that the business can comfortably set its receivables to ensure that money is coming in at specific times so that you don't run out of funds to run your business.
Thank you, Frida. For those that have financial statements, your liquidity ratio is simply your current assets divided by your current liabilities. To determine whether you have positive cash flows, I'm sure there's a cash flow statement also attached there. You can check. That should also be indicated. You should be able to know if you are positive or not. And does your company perform any periodic reporting for cash flow management? You should be able to, if you prepare books of accounts on a monthly basis, that's probably a yes. Okay, let's continue. Profitability. Did your company record any profits during the last year? Yes, so profits here simply refers to the excess that you receive over and above the costs. You have your sales. If you sold a bottle of water at 1,000 shillings and you bought it at 500, 1,000 take away 500 leaves you a profit of 500. So here we are interested in your gross profit margin here. So that would cover that. So are you selling over and above your costs, the costs that you incur to be in the market, to offer your product or service? Yes or no? The next section is financial management, control systems. Does your company have any financial management policy? Say yes or no. Does your company have any financial statements and reporting for the past year? Yes or no. Does your company have audited books of accounts for the past year? Does your company have any internal control systems? If anyone needs guidance on these, please post in the comments section and you'll be guided.
Yes, I think I'll just say something very brief about internal control systems. These are systems that are put in place to ensure that the company's assets are protected, but that also that you have accurate financial reporting systems. If if your financial statements are wrong, all decisions will be wrong. So that is why you have systems like two people signing on a check or segregation of duty. The person who receives the money isn't the person who banks the money, just to make sure that there are no games played that will lead to inaccurate financial statements that will lead to inaccurate business decisions.
Maybe to financial statements and audited books, you'll find that you have an internal auditor who does your checks and balances for the controls. And this person is able also to prepare the financial statements. But please, once in a while, bring in an external person to do checks on the books of accounts. Literally, we have different ambitions. So for small businesses, much as we may appear small, growth is with how you do the controls. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Frida. Let's move on to section 4, which is bid management. Section 4, which is bid management. What's the difference? Someone is asking what's the difference between financial statements and audited books of accounts. That is row 2 and row 3. Okay.
Yeah, financial statements are contained in the books of accounts. So there are literally 3 major financial statements. One is the balance sheet. The other is the statement of comprehensive income, and the other is the cash flow statement. So those 3, well, there are also management accounts that are prepared, but mainly those 3 make up the books of accounts. And preferably, they could be prepared by an external person. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. So yes, the financial statements are contained in audited books of accounts. The difference being that audited books of accounts have been examined on a sample basis and proved that they are authentic to a certain degree. So this, the auditing is done by an independent person outside the company. So it sort of lends credibility to your financial statements. Also, financial statements and audited. I think even the difference has been covered. Sandy, please confirm that it's now clear. Sandy and Quality Tools, is that clear now? Give a thumbs up or a yes. Okay, thank you. Let's proceed to bid management. Under bid management strategy or plan, the question, does your company have a bid management strategy? It's a yes or no. Does your company have a bid management committee or team? Does your company have a bid library? Does your company have any post-bid evaluation mechanisms in place? I think for this section, there is something to guide on what a bid library is. Christine, you'll help. Okay.
Okay, so what is a bid library? This is something, as the slide is coming up for you. Please do remember we shared these slides with you for your reference. So if anything is still unclear, you can to the slides again. But the library itself is a centralized collection of all company documents and templates that are used during bidding. We look at documents such as legal documents. It should be readily available every time you submit a bid. For example, what is your registration certificate, company registration certificate, the tax clearance certificate, NSSF, annual returns, audited books of accounts, any certifications. This should be in one folder and kept updated at all times so that when an opportunity arises, you just browse through your library and attach all these documents at once without having to prepare them from scratch. This enables you to meet deadlines and also ensures that you meet submission requirements in a timely manner. Yes.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, so we'll move to the next portion, which is bidding requirements. Does your company have sufficient technical capabilities, which is resources and expertise for bidding? List all available resources. So the first response to require is a yes or no. Then in a qualitative input and additional comments, you will explain, you'll elaborate. Does your company have project management skills? Does your company have sufficient previous bidding and tendering experience in the oil and gas sector? This is very specific for oil and gas sector. And then you will be required to list the previous tenders applied for where applicable. Okay. Is your company in position to offer bid security and bid bonds? Does your company usually meet the necessary submission bid requirements? That is the deadlines, the format and documentation. So respond a yes or no. Tick no if you've never applied before. Okay, I think we'll receive guidance on this section, particularly things like bid security and bid bonds. We'll receive guidance on what that means. And probably even project management skills. Martin, you can help.
Bid security is normally given. Bid security and bid bonds are given to you by your bankers to just give an assurance to the contractor that you're able to deliver your obligations in relation to the contract. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Any other area anyone needs guidance, please don't hesitate to type your question in the chat. Otherwise, we are ready to move to section 5, which is contract management. So guys, confirm, can we move to contract management? Give a thumbs up if we can move to contract management. Giving us something? Oh, yes. All right. Okay. Let's go on. Contract management. We're starting with volume and nature of contracts. Okay, clear now. Is the average percentage of contracts won in the oil and gas sector greater than 50%? This should be rather clear. So you answer yes or no. Question, if I tick all the boxes, only not in gas and sector, how does that impact my scores in this section? Extreme Uganda is asking, if I tick all the boxes, only not in the gas and oil and gas sector. I think it was only one question that referred to oil and gas, isn't it?
I think if I take all the boxes only,
Gas, oil and
how
gas.
does that impact my score in this section? But how will you even be able to know that they're not?
Okay. Maybe we could provide some guidance on the scores and the assessment, because the aim of the tool is to let us know areas where there is currently not so good performance, such that we can design the appropriate capacity building intervention. So in this case where we are facing exactly oil and gas, it is an area where we know that the oil and gas sector is a bit different, or differently designed from other sectors. So bidding and contract, to be particular for the oil and gas sector, is a bit different. There are some aspects that you would think in other areas. For example, the requirements for bid bonds, bid securities, performance guarantees, advanced payments, all these things are pertinent to oil and gas. So if you're new to the sector, it helps us do a proper assessment to know that, okay, this entity does not have experience, so they require a fully blown course in contract management. So if you've not participated in the oil and gas sector before for contract management, would then require you to answer no to most of these results, because you've not won a contract in oil and gas before. But if you've implemented at least one, contract, then you can fill out based on what contract you had. So I hope that's clear. It's going to affect your scores a bit negatively for now, but all in good purpose for us to be able to address that area where you're not being able or exposed to contract management in oil and gas before.
Thank you, Christine. Extreme Uganda, I hope that helps. Okay, so we move to section 5, which is contract management. Is the average percentage of contracts won in the oil and gas sector greater than 50%? Yes or no? Second is, are you a tier 1 or 2 contractor? If not, which tier of operation are you? The next question is the average volume of contracts won in the oil and gas sector greater than 500,000 USD. Christine, you'll help us again explain tier 1 or tier 2. Oh yes, someone has already, Rona is already asking. Yes, Christine is going to help us.
Okay, so for tier 1 contractors, what do we mean? So the oil and gas sector is structured in a way that we have the Ministry of Energy Development together with the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, the regulatory bodies, and they have the mandate to issue licenses, operation licenses to international oil companies and licenses. Some examples of international oil companies we have in the country now, we have Total Energies, Uganda, we have Sinok, Uganda, we have Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, and we have ECO, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. These are already in the production and development phase. Then we have those that are still in the exploratory phase. That's Oranto Energy and Ama Energy. So if your company has won a contract from any of these licenses and IOCs, then you are a tier 1 contractor. You would click yes. And if you're working in any of the companies that have been directly contracted by the IOCs. So if you're working, for example, if you have a contract from Sinopec, McDermott, BTS, any entities that are operating directly on behalf, then you also qualify to put yes. If you, however, not sure at which tier you are, or you are not the sector, then put no. And as we action plan, we shall try to ascertain the correct answer and then adjust your score accordingly. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Christine. Okay. Let's contract management practices. Does your company have any performance management indicators for previous contracts? Yes or no? Can your company easily obtain any performance guarantees? List applicable guarantees over the past 2 years. So you respond yes or no, then elaborate in the other sections, F and G. Does your company perform any stakeholder engagement or mapping for contracts awarded? List major stakeholders for current contracts. Does your company have or use any tools and technologies for contract management? Does your company have any dispute resolution mechanisms? Does your company have any reporting structures and templates? All these are in relation to your contract management processes. We'll receive some guidance on performance guarantees and probably an explanation of what is referred to by stakeholder engagement and dispute resolution.
Again, a performance guarantee is normally given to you as a subcontractor by your bank that you can be able to perform the obligations in the contract that you've been given. And so it's periodically evaluated to see how far you are proceeding or progressing in the delivery of the contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Yes. Is any clarifications? At times we submit through. Okay, there's someone asked, Quality Tools has a query. Have you seen it? At times we submit through tier 1 and sometimes tier 2. Where does such a company lie? False. So they simply say yes. So Quality Tools, your response then would be a yes. You qualify under both. So your response should be yes. Does anyone still need any clarification on contract management practices? Okay. So we can move on to section 6, which is market positioning and access to markets and diversification. Sorry to interrupt, but what is tier 1?
Okay, tier 1 and tier 2 yet again. Sadly though, so we explained, perhaps you missed it, but we explained that the tier 1 contractors are people operating in the sector and implementing contracts on behalf of national oil companies and licenses. So explain the structure, how the levels of operation are in oil and gas. We have the overall body, that is the government agency, that is the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, through Petroleum Authority of Uganda, PAU. They have the mandate to license companies to undertake investments in Uganda's oil and gas sector. At the moment, there are mainly multinationals that have been given the mandate, but there is the Uganda National Company, that is the Ugandan establishment, together with Total Energies Uganda, with Sinop Uganda, and ECO, East African Crude Oil Pipeline. These are the ones that have been licensed to operate in the production and development phase of the oil and gas sector. Then we have those in exploration, Oranto, and so these are required to subcontract to companies. So whoever is subcontract because they cannot everything. Whoever is under contract from them is called a tier 1 contractor.
Yes.
Okay, you have echo. Can't get you clearly. Okay. I hope I don't have to say the word tier 1 again. Okay. Very briefly, the structure is we have licensed operators, the ECOP, UNOC, ECOP, everything COP in this case. But these people give out contracts to other companies. Some of them are Ugandan, some of them are multinationals. So some of the notable tier 1 contractors we have in the country, for now, there are about 20 players at the moment, 20 companies. So if you have a contract from any one of them, then you have a tier 1 contractor under you. So if you're not Sinopec, McDermott, BTS, Alliad, Zoramu, these are notable companies. And you're also not a person implementing directly at level 2. So if they also subcontract, then you are at that level 2. However, we've said, if you're not sure, if this is still unclear to you, then please indicate no for the assessment. And as we do the action planning, we can correct that score if indeed you are a tier 1 or a tier 2 operator. And maybe to advise you to look out for the foundational course in the action planning, because it clearly elaborates how the sector is structured and what the requirements for playing at each level are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine, for that elaboration. We are now on the same page. Sure. Okay. Kindly elaborate on stakeholder engagement and mapping contracts audits.
Okay. when we talk about stakeholders, we are basically talking about people who influence, affect what you do, and are affected or influenced by what you do. So when you look at your business in terms of engagement in the oil and gas sector, you need to be able to know which are the people who are affected or influenced by the activities that you carry out, or who affect and influence the activities that you carry out in terms of your contractual obligations. So your engagement with them helps to ensure that they do not become an obstacle to you fulfilling your contractual obligation. So engagement can be having meetings with them, giving them feedback, and they also give you feedback on how you are doing and how the whole contract is going on. So that's what we mean by stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Someone says, if I have had a supply to say a tier 1 contractor, does that count as a contract? If say I score at 100% as a tier 2.
All right, thank you, Extreme. So if you've made any supplies and there was a formal arrangement in terms of a contract with this tier 1 contractor, regardless of the value, even if it was as low as $20, then you've been contracted by a tier 1 contractor before. The question about the volume comes in later on, and the benchmark is 500,000 US dollars. So if you've been contracted, you had something in agreement signed, definitely you're a contractor, regardless of the volume and what the nature of the contract was. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. All right, guys, let's confirm if we can now move on to section 6, market positioning, access to markets and diversification. All right, so let's move on to section 6, market positioning, access to markets and diversification. We'll start with market positioning. Does your company have a business plan for the current year or years? The business plan might be for more than a few years. It might be a 3-year plan or a 4-year plan or a 5-year plan. So you say yes or no. Does your company have a marketing plan for the current year? Does your company have any niche expertise? Mention the specific niche. And then customer. Okay, yes. Does your company have a customer relationship management strategy? Right. I think we'll may have someone to explain niche markets, niche expertise. What does that mean?
A niche is a segment of a larger market with its own needs, preferences that set it apart. For instance, if you note a company like maybe Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola, their niche might be school-going children. So they'll package the product that is targeted at them in a different way that makes it easy. Maybe there'll be smaller bottles that can take care of that particular niche. So your niche is a segment within a larger market that your company targets. And I'll just talk about the marketing plan. The marketing plan outlines a company's overall marketing efforts, and it will highlight how the company intends to reach its target audience. In this case, if it's a niche, but also how it intends to promote its products and services. Thank you.
Thank you, Frida. Let's continue to access to the said plan. Is it specific to oil and gas? No, it doesn't have to be specific to oil and gas. It's for your business, for your company. But it can include whatever plans you have for the oil and gas sector. But it's not specifically restricted to the oil and gas sector. Okay, access to markets. Does your company have any social media marketing channels? List all of them. Examples: TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. People still use Facebook?
Yes.
All right. Yes. Does your company have a business website? List your company's website. So if it's a yes, put a yes, and then put the name of the link, the website. Type out your website name. If it's a no, then you put a no. The niche plan only applies to big companies or also SMEs. Yeah. Very unclear. There is a question. The niche plan applies only to big companies or also SMEs? I think
it's not really a niche plan. The niche is what you pick. You may pick. As some people just do general products. The niche is what you may pick as to where you're going to send to focus your marketing efforts. So it doesn't apply only to big companies. I'm selling Mivumba. If you downtown, you can see that there are different. You'll find people who are targeting sportswear. There are people who are targeting baby wear. So it doesn't really have to be only for big companies. It's just that I gave an example of Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, but it would apply for most of us. I think it will generally apply to big companies, to even small companies.
Assuming you are into the food industry and you serve food, you could be serving food to executives, but you also serve food to casual workers. And of course, there is what is called price discrimination. So you will be looking at the executives who sit in offices. You're not going to serve them like the casual workers who carry concrete and mix concrete. So you might say, I want to focus on the market niche of the casual laborers because there are many and they give me more money. So I will charge them, say, 5,000. So you focus on ensuring that you increase your market niche or the number of casual workers that you serve in that area, as opposed to serving people who sit in office where you may have 10 or 20, but here you're going to be serving 100 casual laborers. So in your strategy, you may want to say, I want to focus more on serving casual laborers who are engaged in the oil and gas sector, considering the location of my business. I hope that makes it a little more clear, other than the example of Mitumba.
Right. Yeah. Actually, for small businesses, you better identifying where you want to break into this market. You create your own niche. You'll find that in the oil and gas sector, there is transportation, there is exploration, there is the processing after exploration. So for you, will say, I'll go under transportation. And under transportation, I'll do the piping. So you create your own niche and become very good at it. It's more like specializing in specific supply.
Please confirm in the chat. Thank you, he says. Okay, she. All right. Does your company have social media marketing channels? Does your company have a business website? Does your company have an export license? To which countries does your company export goods or services to? Export license is issued by the Export Promotions Board. Okay, yes. So do you have a license? And if you do, which countries do you export to? So it's yes or no. If it's a yes, then you will elaborate in the comments section which countries you export to. Let's move on quickly to diversification. Does your company have a wide range of products or services? List all services offered by your company. Also mention all products offered by your company where applicable. So if you have more than one, yes? No, it's actually 3 or more. If you have a wide range of products, say yes, you're going to list them. Does your company make sales to any regional or international markets? Which markets? If it's a yes, you're going to specify which regional markets that you're selling to. Is your company partnerships? List all JV partners and areas or sectors of partnership where applicable. Do we need guidance on joint ventures? Can share? Straightforward. If there's something not clear there, please go in the chat section. Otherwise, we're ready to move to section 7, which is risk management. Someone is asking, by the way, is the oil and gas international or regional?
That's what.
The sector, is it international or regional?
All right, thank you, Quality Tools. The question is not so clear. Did you skip anything erroneously? Is the oil and gas, you mean sector, or oil and gas what? Kindly elaborate more in the chat section on this question, then we can give you the most accurate reply. Thank you very much, Quality Tools.
To the JVs, do the JVs have to be in oil and gas only or others apply? Others apply. It's not limited to the oil and gas sector. Simply referring to oil and gas sector. That is it, regional or international?
We'll ask for clarity on that question because it's a very broad question.
Yeah. I can respond. My friend from Quality Tools, thank you very much for being very active. When you talk about international or regional, you could be talking about one and the same thing or different things. If you're talking about nations as a region, then yes, the oil and gas sector is international because it involves different nations. But if you are looking at the players involved and they come from different nations, yes, that is also national. But at the same time, it can be regional. For example, if we take the Africa as a region, there are different countries in Africa and there are different organizations and companies from different parts of Africa that may be involved in this particular sector. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Martin. But I think for the purposes of the questions on diversification, if you're supplying an international company in Uganda, I think you are still operating here in the country. I think what they're referring to, if you want to say regional or international, is if you have crossed the border. For example, if you're supplying to someone in Rwanda or Kenya, I think that would be clearer for you. There is, okay, yes. Businge Vincent, you've been asked to share your email address and they'll share the tool with you. Okay. So can we move to risk management? Thumbs up. Okay, see a thumbs up. It looks like it's only one person giving the thumbs up. But let's go. Risk management, section 7, risk management tools. Right, Rogers, thank you. Okay. Businge has posted his email address. Tools. Does your company have a risk management plan? Does your company keep a risk register? Does your company have a risk manager or advisor? Does your company have any company insurance policies? So you answer appropriately whether yes or no. If you need clarification on this management, please type in the chat section. Businge Vincent is asking, when do you need the tool? The tool is needed not later than 3 days from today, by Friday.
So Vincent, at the end of this session, once you receive the tool and maybe for the echo, you can mute. Session, you submit the tool that we shall send you. We have a deadline of 3 working days. So this cohort will come in on 8th May. Is that right? So you have at maximum 3 working days to submit this tool. So we hope by Monday or latest Tuesday, your cohort would have submitted. But yeah, we will let you know with the invite when to come in next week. But 3 working days, already Friday, Monday, Tuesday. The earlier, the better though.
Thank you, Kristen. Right, let's, we can proceed to section 8, which is human resource management. Recruitment and staffing. Does your company have an employment handbook or code of conduct? The answer is yes or no. Does your company have a staff record keeping system? Does your company have a human resource personnel? Okay, let me first complete this. Does your company have a recruitment and staffing policy? Does your company have any employment complaint management system? We shall get some clarification on a bit of this. Penny from Shield Fire is asking, do different business sectors have different risk management tools? This should be yes.
Yes, because the kinds of risks that that will arise will differ by depending on the company, and I know that most SMEs may not have a risk register, and yet it is very, very important because it helps to identify all the kinds of risks that may occur in an organization. But yes, the business sectors may not have different management tools, but they will, or it would be prudent to have a risk management system in place. I don't know whether that is.
Yeah. Thank you, Rafael. Risks are more or less the unforeseen circumstances or activities or results which may be positive or negative that may happen to you during operations. So literally, risks will happen in what you are involved in. What are those activities you are undertaking? So they may be specific to sector, whereby if you went into a specific sector, there are things that you need to mitigate against. And then there are those that are operational, that when I go into a given sector internally, I may get involved in such a risk. So you need a risk plan for that matter. And I'll give an example very quickly. You remember the joint ventures or the partnerships. You may want to go into a partnership with a regional partner, maybe in Nairobi, because it's an area of operation given the sector. So this partner is involved in other businesses. So what could be the success of you engaging with this other regional partner? So there may be risks there that maybe this partner is not as active as you are. So you may tend to lose a tender or lose business wherever he or she is operating. So you need to look at your activities and then do a risk assessment.
Thank you, Francis. Penny, is that clear? Confirm whether you've received some clarification. Someone is asking Isaac Adams, who do I write to when we need to be classified? So we have been pending on that for a while now.
Yes, Isaac, you need to contact the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. We at the IEC have regular engagements with them. And we have, for your purposes, we have National Supplier Database Registration Drive from 27th to 28th May. Yeah, 28th May. Please do come in. If you write to the PA and you don't get any feedback, particularly the abstract lane, where they support SMEs here at the center. So please send an email to that, and then they should be able to get it. Nonetheless, it's coming when the NSD drive is happening at the center. That will be 27th to 28th May. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Isaac, the email address has been posted by Sandra. It's in the chat. Okay, we can continue with the human resource section. Yes, we had said we'll get clarification on employment handbook, human resource. Yes, on that section, someone can help us explain what we mean by human employment handbook. And an employee complaint management system. Martin?
An employee handbook is like it's really a manual which guides you as an employee on what is required of you as an employee of an organization. So it has the policies and the procedures, and every employee that joins an organization is given this so that they know what is required of them besides you being given your job description. And then it also lays down, it has a clause or an area, a section which gives you guides on how you are able to raise any complaints that you may have at place of work to the respective in charge, whether they are the human resource manager or your supervisor. So it just shows you what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. If anything is still not clear, please type in the chat. Let's continue to training and development. Does your company have a staff competence development framework? Does your company have any staff training plan? So answer yes or no. Just a reminder that we need you to answer this tool as honestly as you can. The essence is to identify gaps where the IEC can help you build capacity. It's not about scoring necessarily the highest mark. Where there are deficiencies, the plan is to see how you can be helped to improve or grow in those areas where you are lacking, such that at some point, after going through the training, you're better able to compete in the sector. All right, let's continue with performance management. Does your company have any performance evaluation program? This concerns your staff. Remember, we are dealing with human resource management. So the question is, do you have any performance evaluation system? If yes, say yes. If no, say no. We can move to compensation benefits. Does your company offer any staff allowances? If yes, you will list the allowances which you offer. Does your company have a salary structure? That is yes or no. Does your company have any staff medical schemes? Then does your company have any annual bonuses or performance-based rewards? If there's anything that is unclear, please type before we move on to section 9. Hold on, there's some clarification coming through.
Yeah, maybe colleagues, if you can't measure performance for your staff, you'd rather not engage in an activity with those staff, because a lot of complaints will come in, mainly when it comes to performance bonuses. So if there is something you can't measure, you'd rather not do it and you leave it for the rest. Thank you.
Right. Let's continue. We can continue to section 9, which is sustainability, environmental, social, and governance. Are we good to go? Can we proceed? Okay. All right, let's proceed. Section 9, sustainability and environmental, social, and governance. The section we're dealing with ESG policies. Okay, we continue. Does your company have any environmental policies? Waste management, water management, or other environmental policies? If yes, you list all available policies. Then does your company have any social policies? That is human rights, supply chain management, community engagement plans, corporate social responsibility strategy, etc. List all available policies. If you have yes to this, then you are going to be required to mention these policies. Does your company have any governance policies, transparency, diversity, and gender? If it's a yes, you list all the available processes. If your responses are no to this, please honestly say you don't have them. Under what section do we list these things that they're requesting for? So when your answer is yes, in qualitative input and additional comments, that is where you'll be listing those other details you've been required for.
They can skip.
You're looking at the screen. Sandra will be able to show you where. For example, if you say yes, do you have any environmental policies like waste management, water management, and other environmental policies? So she's going to demonstrate where she is typing currently now, waste management policy. That is where you'll be listing the policies that you have if your answer has been yes. If it's no, you're not expected to list because you don't have them. Christine, do you want to elaborate on ESG?
Okay, so for ESG, We categorize it into 3 components. That's environmental, social, and governance. We then determine whether you would have to perform an assessment of whether you have any environmental policies in place, general policies that could address waste. Please mute, then we don't have an echo and then we have to mute it. Okay. So we have environmental that would tackle aspects of waste, water, and similar policies. So if you have any of these under environment, you click accordingly. Then when it comes to social policies, these could be corporate social responsibility policies or policies outlining your community engagement or policies that outline human rights aspects. And I just need you to scroll down to social. Yes, policies that outline your social engagements and also maybe things like supply chain management and how you really engage community. So that's for social. And last but not least, governance policies that target aspects such as gender inclusion, diversity inclusion, and any transparency policies that your organization may have set up.
Sorry. Thank you, Christine. Is okay, they have seen. So there's a section, environmental awareness and training. Does your company participate in any environmental training programs? This response is yes or no. Clarification, is it when do they participate, whether they're organizing or just participating?
If they have participated in any trainings.
All right. Right, I see a query. We operate a fuel station under the Total Energies franchise and apply all the TE policies in all aspects of our operations. Should we consider them our policies? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. That is to Abraham. All right, let's continue to sustainability action. Has your company conducted an environmental impact assessment for its operations before? Does your company perform any sustainability reporting? Does your company have any sustainability committees? Does your company conduct emissions tracking and reduction plans? You have something to share here?
Okay, so for sustainability action, we are basically looking at whether you've put forth any efforts to, first of all, report on your sustainability operations. Do you report to stakeholders, shareholders about any sustainability aspects? So are you required to report? If yes, then, and you actually then do report, then that would be positive. If you have a committee that has been earmarked to follow up on any sustainability commitments, that's what we mean. If a specific person or group of people within your company have been allocated this or delegated this role, then you have a committee in place. On the EIA, it was the assessment from NEMA, the National Environmental Management Authority. If you've had to conduct such an assessment before for your company, that's what we are referring to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Right, if there's no other query in that section, give thumbs up and we move on to section 10. Right, so section 10 is certifications. This relates to standards and certifications. The oil and gas sector has a lot of quality controls. So the aspects that are being examined here are if you have the ISO 9001 quality management system, if you have that certification, please say yes. If you don't, you simply say no. The next section is if you have the ISO 14001, which is environmental management system. If you have that certification, you say yes. If you don't have it, simply indicate no. The next one is the ISO 45001, which is occupational health and safety. If you have that certification, please indicate yes. If you don't, please indicate no. The last portion of certification says if you have any other sector-specific certifications, say yes. And if it's a yes, you're going to be required to list which certifications those are. Otherwise, if you don't have any, you simply say no. If you seek any clarification there, please type in the chat. If no, we move on to our last section, which requires you to list any additional challenges. Oh, Ariho Samuel says we wait. That's good. So Samuel, where do you need help? Okay, Quality Tool says we have received the above mentioned tool. Kindly share it through. We have or we have not. Okay, Quality Tools is given an email address where to share the tool. Which tool? Samuel wants an example of specific certifications. Maybe if we give an example.
Also here.
All right, so examples of additional certifications that your enterprise could have. Also, there are other, notably, there are other ISO standards that are not listed here. But in food management, risk management, there are over 28,000 ISO standards. So if you have any of those, then please do list which ones. But there are also standards that are not ISO standards. Maybe if we have building certifications for companies, we have halal certifications. This you should know, but it really depends on which sector and if you've pursued anything that earmarks a certain standard for your sector. So that's what we mean. It doesn't have to be ISO only.
Okay. There's a question from Douglas, Delta Electricals. If the ISO certification is being processed, can't I say yes? No. If you don't have it, you don't have it yet. So it's a no for now. Okay. All right. So Samuel, you've been covered. So we can move. I was saying the last section, which says list additional challenges faced by the enterprise towards winning bids and tenders in the oil and gas sector in Uganda. So that's the response is going to be detailed, and you type it there. That cell which merges E, F, and G, you type any other details. Otherwise, we are done with the tool. Please remember that where you have been required to elaborate with more information, you will do that in the sections F and G, especially in the section, in the column labeled G, where you have additional comments. So that's what you will be doing in the next couple of days as you're filling the tool. You will fill out every detail that you're required to share. Okay. So now we move to the assessment summary. Okay. So the assessment summary, this one gets populated as you are filling your assessment tool, the assessment tool. So it gives a score. So we'll encourage you to share some of your scores. Those of you that have been filling, you can share the scores. So yes, the score, you can see Sandra is highlighting that average score at the bottom, which for our case, our dummy company is 65. So the color coding is to inform us here, as we'll be assessing the tool with you when you come for your action planning, is simply to identify the areas where you are doing well and you don't need any help. For example, in our dummy company where we scored 100, means you don't necessarily need any training in that area. The areas like risk management and sustainability show areas that will require quite a bit of attention in terms of training and building capacity. So yes, who has been feeling? Oh wait, there's a question here. If, let's say, my trading license, PPDA certificate, NSSF got expired, can I say yes? No, it is no. It means they are not valid, so you don't have them currently. Here, Michael Prince says he has a score of 57. Yes. Also remember that having a low score doesn't necessarily mean you've failed. It's simply an indication of how much help you will need to develop your capacity to be able to compete in the oil and gas sector. Kindly assist. How do we get the score? The score is in the tab called Assessment Summary. If you are feeling the BD assessment as we went through it, when you click the assessment summary, it will give you that little table and the average score is right there at the bottom. You're looking at the current screen. Sandra is showing you the tab, which is assessment summary, and your average score is that on which she's indicating there. It's actually labeled average score. Yes, got it. Thanks. Nabira Hilmark Fire says she has an average score of 64. All right, thank you. I think we'll go back to Christine. Christine will take us through the M&E baseline and then also brief us about what will be required for the action plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's have a virtual hand clap and thumbs up for the team from Matabacas. They have taken us through a very detailed session. And we hope that with that, you've all been able to fill out the tool. We, however, need quite more of a feel from your scores. This is for us to know what to anticipate. Kindly take the opportunity to type out your scores as we proceed. Do let us know. Do not be afraid to share your score, because upon graduation, you will be showing off how your score has improved. And this will be an actual M&E tool. So please do keep those scores coming in. We want to get a more realistic feel of the average performance across the group today. Okay, so now that we've come to the end of our deep dive into the BD tool, we are looking at the next steps. I know there are questions in the chat that have come in recently. We are going to cover them before we close the meeting. But I wanted us to look at the action plan because it's then the basis for our further engagements. The cohort today is cohort 3. You were invited last week, Friday, and today, and the next date for your appointment with the IEC doctor shall be 8th May. That is Thursday. Yes. So Thursday, 8th May, you're going to receive an invitation from us inviting you to come in person to the center to have an action planning exercise that is going to look at the results of the BD tool today. And then together with the business coaches and facilitators, they will map out a clear plan for you to see what courses you will be doing as we go on. So as you see from our example, the dummy company scored risk management 0%. I also want to see the certifications, then I could give an example for you to understand how the process will be like. So for certifications, they had quite a positive score, but let's assume they had a red. We would map out for them a training as based on whether they have the certification or not. So for that company that says we're in the process of procuring our certifications, You won't then need to have the certifications mapped out for you, because you would explain that you're going to process them. Even if you don't have them, it's in the process. So that's the kind of process and deep diving we shall be doing when you come in to the center next week. When you come, we shall give you locations. It's located along the center. It's located along plot 12 Ngabo Road in Pololo. But as you come, we kindly request that you bring along a laptop. We shall also put this information in the invite. Bring along a laptop to be ready to work together with the coaches and your peers to put forth some action plans for your enterprise that we shall map out until you're able to graduate at the IEC in September. So that's it for the action plan. That's how the exercise will look like next week. If you have any additional questions, please do drop them in the chat so that we leave with a very clear understanding of what the session would be like. Before we wrap up with the M&E section, let me run through the remarks you have, then we know we are concluding with M&E. Okay, so the scores, we received quite a few more scores. And from Samuel, you had a question, what if all my licenses are expired? Please do indicate no, and the IEC shall know how to support you with this. Then we have appreciation from Wycliffe. Thank you for this tool. It has greatly helped me understand my business better and improve my compliance efforts. Thank you so much, Wycliffe. We are glad that the tool was of use to you. Then we have other scores. Thank you for those who were able to share your scores. And there is indeed a thank you from the participants, from Wycliffe again. Well done to the team at Matt Abacus. Could you kindly share your roles as you only mentioned your names? Okay, we shall give you a wrap-up of the team, or even better when you're able to meet them next week. You would be able to meet them in person. And okay, and last but not least, Anita is asking, I'm sorry, but are you reviewing our scores right now? Definitely not. We just wanted to have a feel and an indication where the group is lying at, where the median is. So we have that already. We have people scoring 35, 65. It's quite a wide range. So we appreciate that, because we know each enterprise is unique and requires bespoke capacity building intervention. So Patricia is thanking us for that tool. Thank you too. And maybe out of courtesy, that team from Matabacus, do you want to share more insight into your roles? Then we can conclude with the M&E tool. Over to you, Matabacus.
Thank you, Christine. I don't think we can really get into the nitty-gritties of our roles. All we can say right now is that we are helping here at the IEC as facilitators, instructors, or trainers. So we'll be helping you go through this business diagnostics exercise to understand where your business is at and assess what training needs you'll be receiving from IEC. When we meet in person, like Christine said, maybe then you can be able to see us and get a real feel of what is it exactly we do outside here.
Okay, people, don't get so excited. Then you'll be able to meet the team in person. You'll be able to interact with them as they're going to be your coaches. And yeah, we look really forward to meeting you next week. So additional questions. If I don't have a laptop, am I going to be considered? Definitely. You may require a bit more protocol. You may have to be on Kameme for a bit. So kindly strive to bring along a laptop, but if possible, you can print it out so that you can work physically and then revert and continue working on your laptop afterwards. Okay, so from BioCore, thank you for the informative session. When are we to submit the tool? All right, so for this cohort, 3 working days actually mean by Tuesday, and right in time for your action planning exercise. So before you come for the action planning exercise, be sure that you've submitted your tool. We are going to give you a link where to submit this tool. So please don't go yet, just wait a bit more, then we can give you the link to submit the tool. Davidson, thanks for this exercise. We shall be active so as to improve. Thank you for this commitment. We appreciate your commitment towards the IEC. Coded is saying, can 2 people from the organization attend the training? For the physical training and the actual planning, for the action planning exercise next week, we kindly request that you adhere to previous guidelines to only send 1 representative who is most able to complete the action planning and make commitments on behalf of the company. So unfortunately, we shall only have 1 person represented next week. Hopefully it will be you, because you've been able to understand how the tool operates and you've understood various aspects. From Bosco, should we load data bundles as well? For the action planning, no, it will be a physical activity, so you needn't, and of course the IEC is that rich to afford a decent Wi-Fi to you. So don't worry about that. Just do come with your laptop and in person to be ready to complete the action planning. In the chat, we have once again the link where you can click to submit the completed tool. The same information was provided in an email that we shared with you, but in case you missed it, do please follow that link to submit the completed tool. Don't go yet. We are looking at M&E. As Extreme is asking, please share that link with today's recorded session. Definitely, we are going to do that. Wycliffe, how do we send back that tool? The link has been shared. Okay, so thank you for today's session. Then do I have to facilitate my movements to Kampala alone? Yes, Vincent, it's very likely that your company, you don't have to, but your company definitely has to fund you. If you're the owner, then you have to make arrangements for the boss to benefit and also come to Kampala at least. Maybe for our curiosity, where are you located? And it could happen that we have enterprises arriving outside Kampala. You could also tell us where you're located. Yeah, for curiosity purposes. We have a link for you. We can share it again since it could get lost in the chat. Then to conclude, from Hoima. Greetings to Hoima. We hope you're able to make it nonetheless, because this would be a very worthwhile and rewarding exercise for you. Then to conclude this session, let's look at the M&E section. As we said, do please complete it at ease. We just want to get the baselines correct. We do not want to get and take credit for all the nice things that may happen in your company when you improve your score and when you improve your business performance and are ultimately able to win more jobs and tenders in oil and gas. So we just want to know by ticking and clicking here and there, do you use our website? And if you do use the website, do you access any opportunities? How often? And if you've ever applied for a tender because you looked at our website. Then capacity building, have you attended in any of our events, be it a training, workshop, networking event before? And also aspects of whether you've been able to win a bid and tender before after participation in our exercises. Please do fill that out for us. We shall be grateful to have a very clear M&E baseline for your company. Quality tools, do we have a chance to resubmit that tool in case of any mistakes? Indeed you do, as long as you indicate that this is the revised or finalized tool. That should be possible. Otherwise, then we wouldn't know how accurate your form is. I think it should be possible, but do ensure and cross-check that the tool you're submitting is the accurate one. And we also have a chance and opportunity during the exercise next week to update the scores. So you could have filled out something, but it requires updating based on the opinion and view of your facilitator and coach. Yeah, I think we've run dry of comments in the section. As we wrap up, allow me to thank the team from Matabacas that's here today and also here to guide you next week. We are going to put up the registration code once again and also the link in the tool once again for you to register in case you haven't registered yet. Use this opportunity before we close out. Where do we get the tools? Interestingly, but you need to look at your emails. All worst comes to the worst, put your email in the chat and we'll get you the tools for you to kickstart your application process. So with that, we look like having reached the end of the session here today. Allow us to thank you once again for turning out in great numbers, for being an active bunch of SMEs, and for keeping us on our toes as we engaged you through the business diagnostics exercise. Please do remember, next date for you is 8th May. Please ensure to keep time and also carry along a laptop, as we've said. The meeting chat is going to remain open for about 5 extra minutes for you to put in all those communications and extra requests that you may have. And then after 5 minutes, we shall close it and you will let us know. Yes, Wycliffe, do fill out the M&E baseline questions as well. Don't leave it blank. And when we do our Q&A, we shall require that this is also completed. For those dropping emails, please do keep them coming. We are going to send you the link and the recording from today. And we hope that you meet the deadline for submission of the tool. It's been Matt Abacus here in the room together with the usual suspects, the bandits at IEC, Christine, Sandra, and Danielle. We thank you very much. Wish you a lovely week, rest of the week, and a lovely afternoon too. So it's bye-bye and see you next week.